Norway is exceptionally beautiful in the winter, but that we were going to get the coldest months since decades were not in my plans. And I really hope the next month will get warmer. The first month of a new year is always special. And it's like an empty page in a new book where many exciting fishing stories will be written. For those of you who doesn't know me, I'm a fly fisherman from Norway with a passion for sea trout fishing. All fishing species that can be caught with a fly rod, actually. But in the winter, I am glad that I live close to our beautiful coastline and the salty element. Even if we find what we are looking for, we continue searching for that special moment. A moment only anglers know about. The excitement has been there since we were young and will be there until we can do no more. Every fly cast is a new chance, and the best is yet to come. I know they are out there, and I need to find them. All I can think about is where the next fish could be. We go fly fishing for different reasons, but when the line tightens, we all feel the same. The childhood dream is still a reality, and this is where I belong. As a fly fisher, there are dozens of decisions you have to make in order to be successful. And no other sport allows you to change the rule as you go. You can even invent new rules if things doesn't go to plan. There is no failure. Looking back on a lifetime of great fishing adventure, you will see how it has shaped you as a human being into something better. We fish to remember, we fish to forget, we fish to bond with friends and family, and we fish alone. We learn about ourselves, the nature, and no matter what level you are at or want to be at, fishing will make your life better. Seeking open water and creating new memories, it's what Go Fly Fishing is all about. Everything has a beginning where the first steps are taken on a path that leads you to who you are today. I read early in one of my many fishing books that fishing in the morning before the sunrise was an important part of succeeding as an angler. I probably wasn't aware of that it didn't apply to all the different seasons. The book was about a trout fisherman from Wisconsin, and it all took place in the mid-July. Now it is the start of January and I'm going pike fishing. I probably just read the first part of the book about how amazing fishing in the morning is. But there's something special about meeting the world before the sun rises. Or was it my impatience and the search for an exciting fishing moment that woke me up before the rooster on our farm told the world that he was awake? Even to this day, I'm not sure what got me up so early in the morning, but I have many fond memories of that time. This is me, a young, inspiring fisherman from the southeastern part of Norway. I grew up at a small island that was placed on a part of Norway's longest river, and the memories from my childhood has triggered a lifelong passion for fishing and later fly fishing. It has taught me lessons that will serve me well throughout my life. Fishing as a young, inspiring fisherman was much easier and uncomplicated. No requirements or expectations when it comes to what equipment was the best or what you must have to be successful. As long as you had a fishing rod and a tackle box, the adventure could begin. Of course, that has changed over the years, but you don't get any more fish for that reason. You didn't dream of fishing trips to exclusive destination because the local river filled with pike and perch was all you can think about. Everything was better and much easier before, and it's such a cliche to talk about when you get older. It used to be something that my grandparents said to me when I was a kid. All you want was to go fishing, and every day. The walk down to the river was like an adventure, and I have the same feeling when I go there today. I remember going down to the river to fish before I went to school. I was just going to fish for a few hours. Fishing before going to school could determine whether you had a good or a bad day. The days you caught fish, it didn't matter what subject you had in the first class. But if you made it to the first class that day, that was a completely different question. The time goes very fast when the morning is filled with excitement, and for every cast I took, I was closer to my biggest catch. I remember it was several mornings I arrived late for school and my mother didn't make it to work. She had to look for me, and one cast after another led me further away from where I was starting my fishing trip. I don't know what she said to her boss, but all I was thinking about was that I was going to fish more after the school was finished. Homework and other obligations were not so important. I have found the perfect spot where the big pikes had breakfast and supper. I often go back to my roots and where everything started for me as an angler. The feeling of catching fish there is just as strong, if not stronger, to this day.
Too many days in the darkness, without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, darling, you were meant to survive. With every start, we are born again. Open less time in your head. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head. Just like a seed in a garden, you will grow to be tall, staring out over miles of land without it, but wanting to build up walls. Lift me up in your branches, we can watch the sunrise. Just a couple of bruised up souls that believe that it was worth one more try. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart and spend less time in your head. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head.
Fly fishing is a lifetime of learning and puzzle building. We imagine what the weather, the temperature, which fly we're going to use, and we take it all into account. We picture in our mind where the fish will be. It's the unknown which keeps us going. It's not just catching fish. Before you realize it, you have entered a mind game, and hopefully you have planned it right. You will only be served the answer if you go out there and try. We can feel the frustration when the weather and the condition is changing and it's not how we planned it to be. Changes is not the human's best friend, but the nature will show you how to adapt to her rules. A gift you will need in your life. Fly fishing allows you to end up in beautiful places, and you have a reason to be there. Planning a fishing trip gives you hope and a belief that you seldom can find other places. And catching fish proves that you are learning. It can be fun and exciting, but you also have the dark side of it. Some days nothing seems to work, and going into that territory will give you a well-deserved experience. I'm going out there to learn, and as a young, curious angler, I did not see the gift of experience I was served after every fishing trip. The most important thing I have learned is to be out there and create new memories. What you do today creates who you will be in the future. When you put on your working clothes for the day and your office is endless kilometers of coastline, you will find out how lucky you are. In the car journey on the way to the selected spot, the hope begins to build up. You always believe that you will find fish, at least until the opposite is proven. Today is my day, and I'm ready for what awaits me. Winter is the season where the whole world seems to go to sleep. It is cold and the silvery ice welcomes skaters and not me. The disappointment you even can hide from getting older. When the ice comes, you will have your well-deserved fishing break, they say. But fly fishing is my break, and search for open water is all I can think about. The winter in Norway is beautiful, and most of the children can't wait to get out when the first snow and ice arrives. But for me, it is different. Even though the nature was beautiful in her winter clothes, I understood that my life was on a hold. Later in life, I discovered fly fishing, where the winter is a time of filling up your fly box and look back on the memories you have created. The lakes and the rivers are covered in ice, but the ocean is strong and does not give up without the fight against the freezing temperatures. The ocean and me, together side by side, on a journey, and hopefully we can get through this time. This first month has been unpredictable and really challenged you as a fly fisherman. We started with temperatures on the plus side, and we've been used to that in these areas. So the first cold period here, where our innermost fjord were frozen overnight, fishing changed as well. Something happens to the sea trout when the water temperatures drop. They have a lower activity level, and you can find larger schools of smaller sea trout in shallow water. They seek warmer and brackish water, and the ideal water temperature for a sea trout is from 8 to 13 degrees Celsius. So you can easily understand that they are not so active now when the water crawls below 3 degrees Celsius. I also noticed that my activity level is lower at this time of year. I spend a lot of time in the car driving from one fishing spot to the next. In the winter, the water is crystal clear and the water level can be lower than normal. Then you have the golden opportunity to see how the fishing spot looks like and obtain usable information that you can use when you visit the same spot in another season. The different seasons give you small hints you may need. So remember to pay close attention every time you go fly fishing. The sea represents renewal and life and has always been a great importance to people. For me, it is important to contribute and preserve the values of the sea, like my grandfather and family who had their sea as their livelihood. The sea attracts me, and wherever I may move in the future, I will always be close to the sea. I still remember as a young boy, I found out that the ice had settled on the river. I could feel it. It was a little bit colder that day when I walked out of the door at home. But so fast. I fished yesterday and I saw no signs that the ice was on its way. Even though I felt the north wind whipping against my face, and it's a sign that colder times are on its way. No matter which direction I look, there is ice everywhere. A feeling of emptiness, and you suddenly feel so small when you look out over the river. What should I do now? There must be an opening in the ice. Today there will be a hunt to find open water. Plans to find large fish at the deeper parts of the river were put on hold. I have learned that the pike went deeper when it's colder. I learned that from last winter when they did not take my lure just below the water surface. I'm a pro now. I'm learning. But what can I learn from the fact that there is ice on the river? I, who will have this as a profession when I get older. I do not have time to wait until spring. How can one fall in love with a hobby and a passion that goes into a lockdown in the winter? I have promised my mother that I will not start with ice fishing. The sight of the tough neighbor boys coming up from the wet river in January has frightened her. And ice fishing is not for me either. I'm a hunter who wants to see and feel the fish take the lure from a distance. That's what I'm hunting for. The feeling of happiness and the fact that you have read the river and the season correctly. The weather forecast said that it will be cold for many weeks to come. But I will always go down to the river every day to see for myself. Because those who report the weather are usually often wrong. It is down here by the river I belong, and here I will be even if the nature and the season sets the rules and you can do nothing about it. When the river is covered in ice, you will find comfort in the forest. The Norwegian nature invites you to go hiking in the mountains and in the forest. It's in our DNA to enjoy the outdoors. The forest lies there like a red carpet to some of our best fishing spots. When you walk through the forest and prepare for what awaits you on the other side, your mind slips away from fishing, and it's like you're entering into a fairy tale. Like the forest is trying to tell you a fairy tale from your childhood. You have maybe heard about the Norwegian trolls, and everything is true. Deep inside the Norwegian forest, there are some creatures that can determine your fishing luck if you don't treat them well. Trolls are magical, mystical creatures which possess the ability and the desire to reward the good and punish the bad. Trolls are such an essential part of the Scandinavian culture, and as a fisherman you dare not doubt their existence. They can give you a year of bad luck. As long as you treat the forest and the trolls with respect, the forest will give you protection and you will feel a calmness you will not find elsewhere. In the forest I feel safe, and when the light from the sun appears through the branches of the mighty trees, you will find new hope. And as you enter the fishing spot, your mind and body are focused on the task that lies in front of you. I often think about the day that I wanted to become a fly fisherman. Spin fishing has for me been very productive and fun, but the restless side of me wanted a challenge. I wanted to become a fly fisherman. I turned to a person who was a master of fly fishing, at least in my eyes. He guided many hopeful fly fishermen along the Danish coast, and all who had questioned about the length of the leader, what fly, or where to find the silver bar of the sea, contacted him. Every time I'm on a fly fishing trip now, I always ask to whether he'll be proud of me now that I've chosen to keep walking the path that he showed me. Every year I went to Denmark for 3 months with my family, and he was my neighbor. I remember going back and forth on the road with my fishing rod and hoping that he would see me and maybe ask me if I wanted to go on a fishing trip with him. But he didn't see me. The next day, me and my grandfather went over to him to see if I could take part in one of his many fishing trips. The 30 seconds that he thought before he answered me felt like an eternity. He looked at me and said, "The season we're in now requires us to start long before the sun rises." I went to bed early every day that summer. It was the beginning of an adventure that I will never forget. 8 years we fished side by side, and I learned something new every second. Not just about fly fishing, but Danish politics and how to explain to a wife that you should fish even if you had time off from your fishing customers. But don't buy red roses. The white ones are cheaper. I caught my first sea trout when I was 9 years old, and I have to be honest, it was on his fly rod. I fought like a warrior to reel the beautiful sea trout in, and I will remember that day for the rest of my life. The fish was not weighed or measured because he wanted me to remember the experience and not the size of the fish. What is certain is that we had a fantastic meal together that night. Although we were not on the same level when it comes to experience, the passion of fly fishing led us together, and I wish I could call him and talk with him about fly fishing today. I know he's with me on every fishing trip and smiling as much as I do. The moment I live for is the moment between when the fish bites on your fly and when it registers in your brain that you have a fish on the end of your fly line. That's the moment right there, that second in time. Your heart almost beats out of your chest and your body, brain and hand-eye coordination works together. It is time to set the hook. Figuring out the whole mindset of the fish and trying to read what they're going to do at low light just after the sun's rising and how that's going to change going into midday. Will the action build again as you approach sunset? Only you will know as the expectation and the excitement reach out to grab you. It's a lifetime of learning. For me, the sea trout is a magnificent creature, and when I find a fish or a spot that I like, I really try to get into it more than scratch the surface. It's like an obsession, and you just want to know as much as possible. It's a unique feeling to fishing the whole year around, and the winter season is one of my favorite seasons to fish. The expectation level is lower than the rest of the year, and every catch seems like a bonus. You have all the best fishing spots for yourself, and there's a big chance you will find a honey hole. Everybody has some secret fishing spot that they hold for themselves, where there is hidden a secret treasure you never tell anybody about. When you are a young angler and you talk to other fishermen and listen to all their experience, like a dry sponge that absorbs water. All their theories on where the sea trout is and where to find it. All their information turning into cryptic codes that become difficult to digest. All their stories about big fish that they fight against for hours. This was the perfect dream, and they shared their best fishing spot with me. How lucky can one be? When you later on find out that everything was just a good story, and that is something that is coming in fishing. A small fish becomes big, and if you do not get it all the way in, well then it was the biggest of them all. A picture of a big fish shows a kind of success, that you have cracked the code and you get recognition and people listens to you. How successful you are can be measured in length or weight, and the small fish are not often talked about. Our expectation in life and what is expected of us has entered fishing as a battle between two neighbors over who has the biggest house and the nicest car. I understood early on that one must find one's own path, and there is no shortcut to the fish. For every little fish you catch, you are one step closer to the big fish, and for me all fish are signs that you are doing something right. My neighbor has a bigger house than me and a nicer car too. As much as 70% of Earth is covered by water, and the surface of what lies beneath the waves is exciting and a mystery. The inhabitant of the ocean lives in the city as it were like human societies, very close together. Shrimps, crabs, gammarus and herring looks over their shoulder, while dangerous robbers as the sea trout lurk around at the edge of town. To assert yourself here, you have to be equipped with all kinds of tricks and clever strategies. The life underwater is a journey into a still largely unknown wonderland. We see the sea trout when it bites on our hook and jumps in the air, and we see it before we release it back to where it belongs. But how they live under the surface is unknown for many of us. Go fly fishing is more than a weekend trip. It is a lifestyle. We all get the same time in a day, but how we choose to spend it makes us who we are. Fishing is a kind of a part of me and the way I was raised. Always hunting for the things that I want to achieve. And every day I am one step closer to my goals. And I'm confident that I will learn for the rest of my life. The ocean is big, and a different season will challenge you to think outside of the box. And all I can think about is where the next fish could be. I love fly fishing in any kind of water, but the salt is my home. My story about how I became a fly fisherman and what I thought about growing up or the trolls in the forest is not so important, and it's not unique. What is unique is that there is a young girl or a young boy out there who has a dream and wants to achieve something, and you have the opportunity to help them along the way. The most important thing I have learned from being a fisherman is to help others and show the way, no matter which way they want to go. We must teach everyone who wants to fish what is important and not paint the picture that one must catch a big fish or have expensive equipment to be successful. We must not write negative comments on social media to those who take a fish with them home that should have been released back to where it belongs. It is our duty to share our knowledge and guide those who seek information and not push them further away. After all, we share the same passion, and I hope and believe that everyone wants to take care of the fish and the nature. The gift of sharing with others will teach you more than you will give, and friendships are often started that way. My mentor today and my best friend, we met through our common interests in fly fishing, and I look forward to meeting him every time we meet. Now we are in a new month, and I look forward to the rest of the year with many exciting fishing trips, and this channel will be filled with many new fishing memories. I look out over the sea from Lighthouse 11,500, which is just as many days since I started fishing. What is your story? I'm sure you often think back to where it all started.
tumbling and you won't slow down. Remember, you're a champion. You are a champion. Remember, you're a champion. You are. But did you know